Like any bacteria and yeast, sourdough starters experience something called binary fission, which means they divide themselves into two. One becomes two, two becomes four, four becomes 16, and their growth is exponential. After you have fed your starter, there are four main growth phases that it will experience. Stage 1 is the lag phase. This is right after you fed your starter. There's not a lot of activity happening. The microorganisms are just adapting to their environment and not actively multiplying yet. Phase 2 is the exponential phase. This is when more bacteria are multiplying than dying. You can actually see the activity at an all-time high. You see your starter rise. Phase 3 is the stationary phase, or what we call the peak. This is when all of the bacteria have multiplied as much as they can and they're starting to accumulate waste. I have seen people use their starters at all different growth phases and claim that it's the best. However, I personally use mine at peak because it has the highest population of alive bacteria. I think it makes my bread taste better, and overall bulk fermentation is way more predictable. The final phase is the death phase. This is when there are more bacteria dying than reproducing, and this is when your starter becomes extremely acidic. You'll start to see it become really foamy on the top, decrease in volume, and ultimately it's going to make your bread taste more sour. It's going to take longer for bulk fermentation, but some people really do love to use their starters way past peak. I like my starter to have dimpled a little bit and concave slightly in the middle when I tap it on a surface. I like that it's still thick and it smells like yeast versus acetone, and overall the pH is way more balanced. I'm more concerned about using my starter before peak than past peak because I have noticed that bulk fermentation takes significantly longer if it hasn't quite peaked, but there's a pretty big window of time past the exponential phase where I can absolutely use my starter and it would still turn out great. For example, if your starter has not even doubled since the last feeding, the microorganisms didn't have enough time to reproduce, and they are at the very beginning of the exponential phase, and there is still a very low number of them, so I would not use my starter at this point in time. I hope this helps, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments.